I swear the BBC's just trying to antagonize me now. So on Sunday, I put up a video talking about we had it confirmed that Jodie Whittaker was coming back from Series 12, but we didn't have and I mentioned in that video we didn't have confirmation about when Series 12 was airing or whether or not Chibnall was coming back. And that same day that video went up, BBC announces Chibnall's back and Series 12 will air in 2020, which means no new series proper for Doctor Who in 2019. The same day! Okay, so let's talk about that then. So, let's start... it makes sense to pair these announcements together. There's no reason not to. And one would presume Chibnall is going to be working on scripts and whatever else all through 2019. Now, I am sure that people with a more conspiratorial bent to their, assessments of things than I have will be coming up with all sorts of things along the lines of, that it's taking this much time because there's going to be a major retooling and he's fighting with the BBC or whatever. All of that is distinctly possible, but I also don't know, so I'm not going to speculate on that. Here's what I will say is that it's said that the next series is going to start in January of 2020, so it's actually not that far out from where it would have been if they were airing it around the same time that they aired the Series 11. It's a couple months pushback. So even though we're looking at, okay, it's going to be 2020 instead of 2019, it's not actually a full year later than when we were expecting it. It's about 2 months, 2 or 3 months actually, which, makes it sound a little bit more reasonable. Now, the thing that we don't know yet, and because they haven't announced this, I'm not taking it as a given either way. But we don't know if there will be a special in 2019. For my money, I bet there is. Because that way we avoid having no new Doctor Who in 2019. And also it would put us in a situation that we actually have precedent for. Because lest we forget that after Series 9 with Capaldi, the following year, there were no new Doctor Who episodes until the Christmas special that year. So what happened was after the end of Series 9, Christmas of that year, we had Husbands of River Song. It was Husbands of River Song. And then the following Christmas, we had the return of Dr. Mysterio. And then the year following, we had Series 10. So we'd actually have precedent for this. The reasons can't possibly be the same, though, because part of the reason, or at least my understanding of part of the reason that happened back then with Capaldi was because with Moffat showrunning, the guy was just juggling too much. He was just doing too much stuff. He had to wrap up Series 4 of Sherlock, and he probably had like 2 or 3 other things going. I honestly do think the guy overworked himself, especially at the tail end of that stretch. So I think that, there was a pretty understandable reason why in that case. We don't have that at play here. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't a perfectly rational, reasonable, not everybody's fighting behind the scenes explanation for why it would happen now. But from context, there isn't an obvious answer the way there was then. So that's sort of my general assessment on the no new episodes until 2020. I'm a little bit bummed because I don't like waiting for Doctor Who, but it is what it is. We've been here before, so what can you do? And like I said, keep in mind, it's really only a 3-month delay, not a year delay, which, I think puts it in a little bit better perspective. In terms of Chibnall himself coming back, I think my thoughts on this will be made a little bit clearer because I am going to have a video coming up this week sort of giving my overall assessment of Series 11. Well, you know what? I'm going to talk... heck with it. I'm going to talk now about sort of my thoughts of what I'd like to see from him in future series, since this is a video about future series anyway. When I talk Series 11, I'll just talk about how he was in Series 11. So here's my main thing. He was the weakest writer on his own show. So what my inclination would be... Now, here's the thing. I don't think that we actually should be getting rid of him, necessarily. I do think he needs to take his hands off the actual scripts, because, as I said, the episodes that I thought were the best ones, he didn't write. And while there were a couple that he did write that I liked, I didn't love any of the ones that he wrote. So that leaves me in a position where I have to think he would be better in a supervisory position over a writer's room and not actually banging out the scripts himself, which does have precedent, not in modern era Doctor Who, because in modern era Doctor Who, you had Russell T Davies and then Moffat, who both wrote a lot of scripts in their time. But prior to that, you would have showrunners who didn't actually write the scripts. Jonathan Nathan Turner didn't write scripts. Verity Lambert didn't write scripts. There were others as well, but I don't want to name others because I might get some of them mixed up as to which ones did or didn't write scripts, or only wrote like one or two. But being the showrunner back certainly during Classic Who did not mean that you were writing a bunch of the scripts. It meant you were supervising the show, the direction of the show, offering ideas, situations, approving scripts, but not necessarily writing them yourself. And that also can happen actually a lot of times in American television. There are a heck of a lot of shows with, created by or executive producer credits for people who are, guiding hands for the show, but aren't writing scripts week over week. And I'm at the feeling at this point that might be the better fit for Chibnall, because when I think about a lot of the concepts that went into Series 11, I actually like a lot of them on paper. It was an execution issue, and it wasn't an execution issue of the performances or the shooting, because the show looked gorgeous, and I thought the performances were pretty much solid across the board from guests and regulars. So when I say execution, I mean the actual scripts. From the issues seem to be happening from concept to written word. And that is where I feel like Chibnall might be best off sort of removing himself from that process, or working with a more heavy-handed co-writer more often. Because again, there are a lot of ideas, even in the ones that he scripted himself, that for the most part I like. I think the only episode that I really, really disliked was Arachnids in the UK, but pretty much everything else, even if I didn't love the episode, I saw the general overall concepts that could and should have worked, but something was off a little bit. So that's what I would like to see. Do I think that's actually going to happen? No, because I think the general perception, especially for British TV right now, is the showrunner is also the head scripter. I mean, that's so much the case in British television right now, that there's a bunch of series out there that literally there's only one person writing all the scripts for a show. That's not uncommon in the UK. So I don't know if the culture in the production end of things exists at the BBC or in UK TV production in general to allow that to happen, which is unfortunate, because that does mean that he's going to be writing more scripts. I'm kind of crossing my fingers he's going to write a lower percentage of them, maybe just the premiere and the finale. So I have not been thrilled with Chibnall's writing, but I see enough good core concepts in his overall approach that I don't think it's necessary to jettison him, at least not at this point. And I kind of want to see what he does with feedback and taking another shot. I will get very frustrated if we get to series 12 and I basically see the same kind of writing issues that I saw this time. Because that's just not accepting that you could have done better. And look, I know a lot of the people saying that there were issues with the series have not been saying it politely, so I wouldn't necessarily blame him for his inclination to ignore the complaining fandom, because a lot of them have been real jerks about it. I mean, come on, guys, you can dislike something without being a jerk about it. So, for that reason, I can't necessarily blame him if he just wants to drown out the criticism, but I would really like to see what he can do taking it on board and adapting. Because that to me is the overall strength of Doctor Who as a show, is its adaptability in the characterization of the Doctor as a character, because you can change Doctor, the adaptability in the scripts through new writers, new directions, new all sorts of things. So I would like to see what Chibnall can do adapting to trying to do something else, something different. I don't know if that's what he'll actually try, and I'm not really going to speculate again, because that sort of starts to dip into, is there drama behind the scenes? Is he going to have total control? Is it like, I don't want to go down that path. But in any case, yeah, he's sticking around. New episodes. Not until 2020. Your thoughts on this, whatever they are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. A whole bunch of stuff you can do, because there's buttons and links, including one to my Patreon. That'd be awesome if you want to support me that way. If you don't, though, it's okay, because there's other links to check out as well. Don't want to click on any of them? That's fine, too. Because at the end of the day, you're the council. I just run the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned.